Hey, what's cracking? How are you doing today? Well, I hope this video finds you on top of the world, man. If it's the first time you've ever watched one of my videos, my name is Ricky Dye, and I went to prison when I was 15 years old, and I was there for over 20 years before I got out. I got out when I was 34, almost 35. And we can't go back and change the past, can't do anything about the mistakes we've made. But what we can do is try to make the future better and maybe try to learn from our mistakes. And what I'm trying to do with these videos is try to use my mistakes to save someone else from making the same mistake. So I did it when I was young, when I was a kid, a lot of issues mentally. And I'm hoping to make connection there with some other people that maybe think a little bit like me from all walks of life and help them to not make the same mistakes. And maybe together we can figure this thing called life out, man. And I started at the beginning, telling my story, the crime, what happened. And then I move on to being certified as an adult and going on to prison. And I'm doing each video. I try to make them where they'll stand alone by telling a story in each one, but they are in order. So if you haven't watched the others, if you go back to the beginning and catch up with us, you'll know right where we're at. In the story right now, I'm at Lexington, medium security yard. It's the second time I've been there, and I'm 20 years old, around there. And I'm going to jump right back into that in just a minute. But for everyone who watches all the time, I have some things I need to do as an update. I'm in a much better place in my mind. The last video, I didn't feel like making it all, but I didn't just want to be missing. I was on my downswing. I'm bipolar, so I have these downswings and upswings, and I have the times whenever I feel like I can conquer the world, when nothing can hold me back. And I have other times when I feel like the whole world's against me and I can't possibly win. And I was in kind of one of those places in the last video, and I don't like to be around people in those times because that's not the person I want to be. So I get off to myself. I try to change the channel, like I talked to you about. I try to pick up my blessings and pull myself out of those spots because every one of us have them. And but even in the darkest of times, I always remember all the blessings that I have, how much worse things could get, and to make sure things don't get worse again like they did before when I was 15. And if you're interested in any of that, I appreciate if you hit the subscribe button at the end of the video, if you haven't already. To the ones who have subscribed, I'm at 816 subscribers. So I'm very close to the 1,000. But I want you to know that this month there was upcoming changes that I had missed. And starting this month, you only need 5,000 subscribers and 3,000 watch hours. But I'm almost at 4,000 watch hours and have over 800. So I'm already able to apply as a partner for YouTube. Right now, I've met all the requirements. I've filled everything out. I'm just waiting on an email from them. They'll review the channel. They say it takes around a month or so. It may take a little longer because they're rolling this new thing out and they're going to have so many people joining. So we made it. We got there, man. Soon, in the next month or two, when they allow me to, I'll be able to put some products in the store. And for anyone that wants to support the channel, you can hit join. Usually when you hit join, people give so much a month to the channel, whether it's $1 or $2, whatever you want to give. If you care to do that, you don't have to do that. I never ask for money for my videos. But what I want to say about that is if you do hit join, on most things, they'll give you extra videos and extra perks. You won't get that here. I break all the rules. Every video I make is going to be free. So if you do that, it'll just be the kindness of your heart. But you don't have to do that. I'm not asking you to do that. I have everything I need in my life to be happy. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have much money at all. But it doesn't take much for me to be happy. I have a roof over my head. I have food to eat, a wife who loves me, a car to get to the doctor if I need to. And I really don't need much else to be happy. So if you hit join, I just want you to know there won't be anything special because everyone gets the same thing here free. I break all the rules. Within 30 seconds of starting the video, I'm supposed to be putting up what's called B-roll with other pictures and video, things for you to look at while I'm talking instead of just hearing me talk. But I don't do that. Also, I don't edit the videos. Joe B offered to edit the videos for me for free. And I appreciate that, Joe. I don't do that because I want these videos to be real. It's me sitting here talking to you, trying to make that connection with you. Saturday, I talked to one of my subscribers, John Hood Adams. I've mentioned him a few times, supporting the channel. I asked him if there's a video I could make about anything he wanted, but he just wanted to make a phone call and talk a little bit. So we talked for over half an hour, and it was a real good phone call, and I appreciate it, John. and he had some ideas to maybe help me with my dreams. And I've checked out a little of that video. I've been really busy. This video would have come up last night, but the kids came through and surprised us on Father's Day. So this video is coming up on Monday instead of Sunday evening. I'm going to try to make this video longer. You guys asked for longer videos. I don't know if you realize how trying it is to sit in front of a camera and just talk to yourself for 15, 30 minutes. It's kind of tough because no one's answering you. So what I did is I sat and I made me a few notes so I could try to make this video longer. And I'm going to try to cover a lot about my story at Lexington. If you just hang with me just a minute. Monica's doing great. Surgery came out. She's walking better than she ever has the whole time I've met her. So that's wonderful, man. It really is an answer to a prayer. Okay, I'm going to jump right into my video. So we're at Lexington, and me, Dave, and BJ are hanging out like I've talked about in the other videos. We're in a medium security prison. Live on Unit 4. I've explained how all the units are set up and what the yard's like in the last earlier video. So if you're not with me on that, you need to catch up. But we're on a medium security yard, and BJ's a black guy, and me and Dave are white guys, and you're not supposed to hang out together, but us three do. And no one really gives us any problems. One, because we have all the drugs. And when you have drugs in prison, it gives you power. If you have the weed, or you have hard drugs, or you just have cigarettes, really you don't have to have hard drugs. You just need to have anything that other people can't get. It could be gum. If no one else can get it, it's valuable. And that's all there is to it. And we've got a staff member bringing our stuff in. And what I've been doing is bringing a half pound, 3/4 of a pound in at one time, because it's cheaper that way. I could get a half pound for $500, $400 to $500, I think around $450, and then have this lady, staff member, bring it all into me at one time. I give the guy there's a guy who has this connection with this staff member. His name is Joe. Joe is the one who has the relationship with her. She won't do it for me. She'll only do it for Joe. So I have to give Joe a 1/4 ounce out of every 1/4 pound. And I have to give her $200 to bring in a 1/4 pound, but I only have to give her $250 to bring in up to a half pound, and $300 to bring in 3/4. So what I'm doing is I'm going about it as much bulk as I can. We've took a few ounces and we've sold them all for cigarettes. I talked about how we did that. We sold all these cigarettes over a couple weekends' time. We've built up to where now we don't owe anybody. And we've paid off everybody from the wreck we were in. And now we're getting in all kinds of drugs. We're getting in drugs for everybody you can think of. I've got this black guy I'm bringing in powder cocaine and crack for. I bring in his, and then I get mine at a discount. I get the whole 8-ball for $150 because I'm bringing his in for him. And that is a steal because I can make over $1,000 for that $150. So I'm bringing cocaine and crack for him. There's a Mexican guy. His wife goes off down to Mexico and gets these cheap Valiums. And I'm bringing in Valiums for him, and I'm getting a 1/4 of every one I bring for him. If I bring in 400 Valiums, I get 100 of them. I found the guys who's getting meth if Dave couldn't get the meth, and we're bringing it in. And I've got the weed connection, and we have got it going on. And for some reason, we didn't sneak in a syringe. I guess because she had to walk through a metal detector and was afraid to try that. We always just stuck to weed. But what we would do is we would stick the hard drugs in the middle of the weed, so she would never even know she was bringing that. And that was real shitty to do that. She should have always knew the risk. And that was wrong of us. And I was young, and I was following the directions of other people, and I wasn't doing everything right. And that's one thing I want you to remember in these stories. When you hear me say something, oh, I'm going to unsubscribe, I don't like him. I'm not the same person I was back then. The stories I tell you are stories, things that happened over 20 years ago. Things I did when I was a kid, mistakes I made. And that's what the videos are about. Telling you about the mistakes I made, hoping that you won't make them. So don't judge me today and quit watching my videos because of something I say. If you'll keep watching the videos, you'll probably see that it wasn't meant the way you took it. So we got all these drugs coming in, and naturally, when you keep bringing in all these drugs, you start to try them and do them, and we end up hooked on all these different drugs. I wouldn't say hooked because we can only get them in once a week or so. She'll bring it in once a week or more. She wouldn't do this every day. Every week, 10 days, she'll bring a package in. She was going to risk it every day because she comes to a metal detector when she comes in. She's got this stuff in a lunch pail and a thermos. And at any time, they can ask to search her, and she would be caught. She could refuse and leave, but if she lets them search her, she's caught. And if they have a warrant, they won't let her leave. Sometimes they can just lock the doors and hold them there. They can't get away. So it's a big risk she's taking. But we're getting in all these drugs, and they didn't have no other syringe. So what they did is they took an old barrel off a 3C syringe. I've talked about this, and the needle, melted it back together, and made them a plunger out of a stick and a piece of a flip flop. And what they do is all these people are sharing this syringe. They all come to the house, set somebody out on the run to watch, make sure there's no police coming. There's another guy inside the cell watching out the curtain, like there's a curtain up, like someone's in there using the bathroom, and someone's in there peeking out. Someone else is out on the run watching. Then you got the guys in the cell doing the drugs, doing the shooting dope and stuff. And what they're all doing is sharing that same big old needle. And when one guy uses it, they'll get bleach, because there's cleaning supplies have bleach for cleaning the floors and stuff. The day rooms and the showers, we're able to get bleach. The rum man can get it. You can go get some from him. And they'll draw the bleach in there and squirt it out, then draw water in there and squirt it out. And then the next guy goes. That's how they're cleaning this. And then what they do when it gets dull is they'll take a matchbook and sharpen it on that matchbook. So we're going along there, and me and Dave are going to Votech. And the way we're hiding all this stuff is we had, the doors on the cells have a little handle you can pull it shut. To keep inmates from being able to take that stuff apart, they've put them together with torque screws. And the only people that can get those are the guys in maintenance. And supposedly the guy who runs maintenance isn't in prison. He's the guy that comes in, and he hires inmates to work on his way. He hires them, they get 12 a month. But he picks guys to work on the maintenance crew. But it's actually a man from the streets that runs it. But one way or another, these guys managed to get one of those torque screwdrivers. So we were able to take the handles apart on our door. And whenever you come in, the guards come in and shake you down. They never take the doors apart or the lights. That's something they assume we can't get in. But we've got these torque screwdrivers, and we have got in the lights, and we've got knives in there, and we've got drugs in there, and we've took the handles apart on other people's doors, because word's getting out, man, that me and Dave have all the drugs. Everybody on the yard knows. Had one guy come up to me, hadn't been there very long. He still had a buzz haircut from coming through A&R. We call them Skinners when they first come in. And he comes up to me and says, man, I heard that you were the guy, if I wanted to get anything in, that could get it in. So the word's out that I have a way of getting things in. Everybody knows me and Dave. So they're running in and shaking us down a lot. So we've took the handles apart on other people's doors and got them holding it and paying them a little to hold on to it. And me and Dave, we go to Votech. So in the morning, at the time we're going to Votech, we've let go of our rum men's job. Me and him both going to Votech for cabinet making. And I've talked about in another video how that goes, going up to Votech. But David's got real sick. And it started off vomiting, and then his eyes turned kind of yellow. Looked like he might have had hepatitis or something, throwing up. Didn't want to go to the medical because he's afraid he might get in trouble for something. But it kept getting worse, and he was missing Votech. And when you miss Votech or your job in prison, they will send somebody to your cell and find out why you're not there. And so they sent guards down there, and he's saying he's throwing up. They want to send him to medical. He goes to medical, and they just say he has flu and send him back home. But it keeps getting worse, man. And it got to the point that Dave, as big and strong as he was, he couldn't make it to the toilet. And it was only 3 or 4 feet from the bed. Not very far at all. Like, there's a wall, and then his bed and the toilet on the other side of the wall. So he literally just stand up and step around that little wall. And he can't get that far. So I'm supposed to go to Votech, and I go up there, and he can't get medical to help him. They say he only has a flu. So I go up to Votech, I get to our instructor, and I said, man, my cell partner is really sick. I think he's going to die. He's bad off. So I go to Raising Cane. I get the other guys in there saying there's something wrong. And all of us together start, hey, man, something's wrong with Dave. We think he's going to die. They come get him, taken to medical, and he ends up in intensive care. And he was there 3 or 4 days, and the doctors come in and told him that he was dying, and there was nothing that they could do for him. And at the time, AIDS was kind of new, and they were asking him if he had done anything, maybe he had caught AIDS. And he was dying, and that was all there was to it. And finally, a doctor came in and asked him if there was anything else that he could tell him that might help him. And Dave, after all this, he finally broke down and said, I've been shooting dope in prison. And he explained it all. And come to find out, when they were sharpening that syringe on that matchbook, a little sliver of metal that had been sanded off got into the barrel of the syringe. When he shot it, that little piece of metal went up through his veins and into his heart and busted a hole in his heart. And it had been festering and causing blood poison. So he had blood poisoning and a hole in his heart. Now that they found out what it was, they were able to save his life. When Dave left, Dave weighed between 225 and 240 pounds. We worked out every day. When he came back, he weighed 170 pounds. He almost died. He was in the hospital for close to a month. So the whole time Dave's been gone, I've been running everything. And me and BJ hanging out. They kept my cell open, ended up letting him back in the cell. And the next thing that happened is I turned 21 years old. Now, I've told you that the girl that's visiting me, her name is Shelly. Now, at one point, me and Shelly wanted to get married. And we couldn't find a way to get married you can get married in the visiting room if you can find a preacher that will do it all. And we were having a hard time finding that. So what we did is I went down to the law library and had them draw up what was called a common law affidavit of marriage. And it just basically said that we both agreed to be married. And I signed it, she signed it, notarized it. She's supposed to take it to the courthouse and have it filed and get a marriage license, and we would be married. So one day at visit, I come down there with the paper drawn up. Me and her was arguing a lot. She was wanting to get married, I thought. And I thought if I went ahead and married her, that would fix everything. And that's a big mistake. You never marry somebody to try to fix a problem. So I go down to the visiting room, and I had the paper drawn up. And I thought more problems were because we were supposed to get married, and I got upset with her and told her I wasn't going to marry her. So I come to the visiting room. She's got her head down in the visiting room the whole visit. She's not up talking to me like she really is. And I'm thinking she's upset over that. So I tell her, you know what? Let's get married. And she perks up. All right, let's get married. So I have the paper brought down to the visiting room. We both sign it, have it notarized. She said she'd take it down to the courthouse. She didn't take it to the courthouse and file it. And that's going to come in later on. But as far as me and Shelly know, we're married now. Okay? Now, Shelly goes and cheats on me. She comes to visit. She's upset. She's crying. And she tells me someone raped her. And I'm sitting there shocked, stunned. I'm in prison for murder. Can't get out. Can't get in, do nothing about it. And I cannot tell you how that made me feel sitting there that day thinking my wife got raped and there's nothing I can do. And she said, look, you won't even talk to me now. So I started asking her questions about what happened. And when I asked her questions, she started answering them two and two didn't make sense. Things didn't add up. And come to find out, she didn't get raped. She cheated on me. And she tried to tell me she got raped. And when I realized she was lying, I told her, the truth's going to set you free. Tell me the truth. We'll work through it or I'm leaving right now. And I get up to leave. And she said, all right, I'll tell you the truth. I did it. And she got pregnant by it. So now she's pregnant. And I'm really upset. And I'm not going to be with her anymore. And the next day was a Saturday, and my mom and her came up to visit, and we're out there talking. My mom's sitting over there real not visit, but she's not leaving. She's staying there letting us talk. And we're walking around the little outside part. There's a little outside area where you can go out and walk around. And back then, you could have smoked a cigarette then outside, but not on the inside. You could sit inside and visit, medium security. There's tables. You could sit in there. You can go get things to eat out of the vending machines. You can go get pops. Or you can go outside and walk around. So me and Shelly's out there walking around that thing, and I'm going to make her have an abortion, I don't agree with abortions at all. But back then, I didn't believe the same. I was her. I wasn't thinking right. I didn't want her having that baby. And it was all selfishness, and it was wrong of me. So my mom pulls us over there, and I tell her, we're going to stay together, and she's going to have an abortion. And my mom looked past me like I wasn't there and looked at Shelly and said, if you have to lose that man to let that baby live, you lose that man. It ain't that baby's fault. Do you hear me? You don't kill that baby. And then she looked at me and said, I raised you better. You don't kill that baby. If you can't live with it, you let her go. But you don't kill that baby. And I thought my mom was right. And so I changed my mind on that. So I told Shelly I would forgive her. Okay. And I really tried to. And we continued to visit. And I kept going to visit and seeing her. And she was handling all my business. I would call her and say, I've got this money coming. I would give her the information at visit. Say, you've got this much coming in the mail. You're going to have this much on Western Union. Here's the information to pick it up when you leave. It's already all done. Here's the information to go pick it up. Here's the password, blah, blah, blah. I would give her quarters and visit. I would bring her the hard money that I hustled up on the yard, the cash green money that I had sold before. I'd bring it to her at visit. Then I have money mailed to her, and then I have money Western Union to her. She'd pick it up after visit when I give her the information. She takes the money. I say, hey, you go drop that off to Big Sis. She's Little Sis for code on the phone. My wife would say, hey, I need you to have Little Sis go drop that package off to Big Sis. Well, she's Little Sis. Big Sis is the lady who works in the laundry. So that's our code. And Shelly's about 7 months pregnant, and man, it was really getting to me. It was really, really hard to go out there and hug her and hold her and kiss her, and it felt like there was a man standing between us. I just can't tell you how it felt. We were supposed to start a family together, me and her, and she pretty much just started it without me. And it weighed on me. I've never been one to cry, but if I said I didn't cry over that stuff, I'd be wrong. In prison, when you're in prison for a long time, I was in there so long from the age of 15 that never really had any relationships with girls. And when you're 15 years old in school, sure, I had a girlfriend I went with for a week and we break up or whatever, but you're never really in a serious relationship. But as you get older, you yearn for that. You want to be in love. You need somebody to love. I had all this love. By the time I got out, I had all this love built up inside me I wanted to give to somebody. And I was so afraid I would give it to the wrong person and they would destroy me. And that's why I'm thankful for my wife, because she deserves all the love I can give her. And she reciprocates it. I know that she loves me. She'll always be there for me no matter what. And that's something I'm so thankful for. But with Shelly, I would go back from a visit. Instead of being happy, I would go back sad. And so my brother had this girl that I knew in high school named Christy. And he was living with her at the time, and they were friends. And one way or another, we end up talking on the phone and writing letters. And she gets a crush on me and wants to come visit me. So he's bringing her to see me. So this night that's coming up, we've been talking and writing, and I'm really hurt by Shelly. So on my 21st birthday, I'm sitting in my cell. And before I start writing this girl that's living with my brother, on my 21st birthday, I'm sitting in my cell. And first they call me in there, and they call me in the case manager's office, call me in a room and tell me that my dad's on the phone. I haven't talked to my dad since the county jail. Pretty much he told me to pick between him and my mom. That's what he told me in the county jail. I was going to have to pick between them. He wanted me to make, this is another story I didn't get to. I will tell the whole story at some time, but he wanted me to pick between him and my mom. I'm going to tell you later on in the next video or so, in a few videos, I'll tell you about that story. But there's a lot of things I've missed I'll have to circle back to, but I don't want to just jump around. So I'm just going to tell you that he wanted me to choose between him and my mom. So I chose my mom, and it was a very good choice, and I would never change that choice. So they call me in the office, and my dad's on the phone. It's something that never happens. The case manager never let that happen. I don't know why it did happen, but he gets me on the phone, tells me he want to check on me. He's thought about me. He's praying for me. And I said, if you want to come visit, Dad, I can have you come at a different time. Mom won't come when you come. You can meet my wife. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, I'm going to come see you. Well, give me your address, send you a visit form. Well, we're moving right now. I'll send you the address. Never heard from him again while I was in prison. I don't even know why he called up there. So as soon as that's over, they tell me the unit manager wants to talk to me. I'm thinking it's to see if I'm okay for my dad. They call me in there, the unit manager's office, close the door. There's a bunch of letters on the desk, and I see Shelly's handwriting on them. And I'm thinking, oh shit, she wrote something in there that's going to get me in trouble. Unit manager says, sit down there, I need to talk to you. Said, we caught these letters coming through, and the reason we stopped these letters, said, what'd I do? What did she do? Oh, you haven't done nothing wrong. Said, we caught these letters coming through, and we wanted to sit here and have you read them with us and make sure everything's going to be okay. We don't want you to hurt yourself or anything. Hurt myself. So I sat there and I start reading them, and what it is, okay, Shelly's sister is married to a guy named Daniel. His brother was my cell partner. They're the ones that hooked us up. So this is Shelly's sister's husband, her sister's husband. Now, he got in trouble for a bunch of shoplifting and checks, and he got put in a minimum security prison. So there was a time Shelly was telling me she couldn't help me with any money, couldn't come see me, couldn't, just one excuse after another, couldn't have any phone calls, couldn't afford it. Come to find out, during that time, Shelly was writing this guy letters in prison where he was at in minimum. And these letters, she's telling him, you need to let me know if you want to be with me, if you're really going to leave my sister, if we're really going to be together, if you really love me, before I marry Ricky. So, yeah, on my birthday. So to say I was upset is an understatement. It hit me like bricks. I had no idea any of this was going on. I had no idea that she ever was messing with this guy, but they talked about her having sex when they lived together with him, when she was gone from the house, about the times they had sex and how great it was. I'm sitting there reading all this on my birthday in prison. So I tell the unit manager, I knew about all that. I'm just fine. I knew about all that. Ain't nothing. I already knew. We didn't work past it. She said, all right, scan my letters. Said, well, we're going to get my. So you got no reason to keep my letters. So they still kept them and gave them back to me like a week or so later. So I don't say nothing to Shelly until I get those letters. And then I go out there to visit. And I sit down and ask her if there's anything ever going on between her and Frank. And she denies every bit of it. Finally, I lay those letters on the table. And when I do, she goes to bawling. So what happened is Daniel, the guy she was sending them to, got mad at her and mailed them to me. Wanted me to know the kind of girl I was dealing with, he said. So Shelly had no idea this was going to happen. And yeah, that was a pretty bad visit. I ended up getting up and leaving. We weren't together for a while. But the only reason I got back with her, David was in the hospital at the time. I had to have some stuff brought in. I was under the gun. I owed some people. I needed her help. So I more or less forgave her because I needed her. And I didn't forgive her. Deep down, I hated her. But I needed her. She was the only person I had to help me. So then I start writing this girl, Christy. And we set it up to have this girl come visit me on a Friday. And so what I do is I call my mom and I say, I want to visit this girl, Christy, tonight. I don't want Shelly to come to visit. So what I want you to do is I need you to call Shelly and tell Shelly that I just called you and I was drunk and I told her not to come visit tonight because she's going to get me put in lockup. And you make sure she don't come. So my mom did that. She called Shelly, said, don't come today. You can't make another phone call right now. He's drunk. Phones are up by police. Said, don't come. Shelly's mad, but she ain't come. So that night I visit this other girl, Christy. And there's other girls in the visiting room. And when the same girls who come to visit all the time, like Shelly was visiting me, and then I had a friend that had a girl visit him, and another friend had, these girls that come all the time get to be friends because they see each other out there every week. So these girls that have made friends with Shelly see me sitting over here with this girl, and they're like all making eyes at us, and I know they're going to probably tell on me. But I'm hoping that they don't. And I haven't touched the girl or anything so far, and so I'm hoping that they don't say, well, see me kissing another girl or whatever, because they think I'm married to Shelly, and they're all pretty good friends. But I get back to the unit, and I call Christy, and she's all in. She's visited me. She likes me. She wants to be with me, blah, 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 blah. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and see Shelly this weekend on Monday until Christy had come on a special visit. You got one visit before the visiting forms have been approved. Somehow back then you could do that. Now I'm waiting on the forms to go ahead for her to be put on my visiting list. And then they tell me for me to have a girl put on my visiting list who isn't family, which is basically a girlfriend, you could have 10 people on your list. Now, to have a girlfriend on your list, you can't have a wife. They don't want troubles up at prison. If you have a wife on your list, you can't have a girlfriend on your list. You can only have one or the other. So the only way I can put a girlfriend on my list is to remove my wife. And if I remove my wife, she can't get back on there for at least 6 months, even if I change my mind. So I set it all up. The next Friday is Shelly's birthday, visiting day. I seen her Monday. I hugged her. Everything was fine. I had seen Christy the last Friday. And Shelly has no idea. But on her birthday, the next Friday, she's supposed to come visit that night. I was supposed to go visit her on her birthday. And I was supposed to call her right before she came. And instead, on her birthday, I took her off my visiting list. And I called my mom and I said, call Shelly and tell her I just took her off my visiting list. I have another girl coming to see me. Happy birthday. Because she knew what she did on my birthday. Oh, Shelly went off. At the time, she was staying with her grandma, and her grandmother wouldn't let me call her. Okay, so she would have to go to payphones. Back then, there were certain payphones you could call, these like phone booths. You could call phone booths. She could be there and accept the call, and it didn't cost anything. But she had to be there at a certain time. I had to know the number and know right when to call. And she didn't have a car, so it was really difficult pulling all this off. And I was supposed to call her at a phone booth at a certain time. I didn't call. Instead, I had my mom call, tell her he's got another girl, took you off the visiting list. He's filing for divorce. Happy birthday. It's what she did on his birthday. She was turning 20. I had turned 21 on mine when she did it. So I know that was very mean of me, but that's what I did for some get back. So Shelly's calling my mom. Said, tell him to call my grandma. I said, his grandma won't take call. She said he will right now. And if you're a man, you need to call her. So I go ahead and call. She's telling me she can't believe I've done this. And of course, I'm telling her all things she done to me. Got pregnant with another man's baby and this and that and the other. So ends up, she tells me that she'll still take care of my business for me. And I'm like, no. Christy's come and told me that she would take care of it. And she came and visited me. The next visit, she French kisses me in the mouth. And I had told her about the kind of drugs, what me and Shelly was doing and what we were getting in. That I was getting weed. I couldn't get meth, but it was worth the most, blah, blah, blah. So this girl comes to visit me. And when she kisses me, you get a visit at the beginning and end of the visit. And when she kisses me, she pushed some dope in my mouth. Some meth. She had it all wrapped up, kissed me, and pushed it in my mouth. It was like, go try that when you get back. If you like it, I'll bring you some more. And I couldn't believe it. So I thought, man, I don't need Shelly anyway. I don't even need Big Sis no more. I'll just get this meth. It's worth way more. Because now at this time, the guards are really shaking us down a lot, man. The guards are really shaking us down a lot. One day I went to visit at Votech, and Shelly had sent me new pictures of her. And we had got them in through these cards that, you know, the cards that sometimes these certain cards, you can open them up, birthday cards, and they kind of come apart. Well, she had took the pictures and put them in there and then glued that shut so they wouldn't see the pictures because she didn't want them to see her naked. And then when I got the cards in, I tear the cards up and I took the pictures and I put them behind other pictures in my photo album. So one day I'm at Votech and the guards come in, shake my cell down, and they find those pictures. Now, in the cell, you got bunks like this. And then at the foot of the bunks, right across here, you've got a couple locker boxes set in long ways and TVs set on that. So here's your bunk, TV sitting at the end, locker boxes. They took these pictures and propped them up along the front, along those TVs, so that anyone looks into my cell window can see them. And that was supposedly my wife. When I got back, I seen that. I went left, man. I took it all the way up to the major's office and he ended up having all them guards that shut my cell down come up there and apologize to me. And after that, I sent my family photos home. Because when I came back from that search that day, they had my Bible opened up, threw down on the floor, face down with it open. They had messed up some pages in it. They had my family photos on the floor, stepped on, naked pictures of her, posted up. So some of the guards in there are really sorry people, man. I don't have anything against a guard who's earning a living doing his job. Somebody has to do that job. There have to be police to protect the public. But people who abuse that, there could be no one sorrier. Because that's the people you put trust in. So if they're doing it to the inmates, how do you expect those inmates to turn out in the long run when you're treating them that way? So now I've fired Shelly, and Dave's fresh out of the hospital and almost died. And now I'm with Christy. And This video's gone 35 minutes. It's longer than I usually do, guys. I'm sorry. I intended for it to go longer, but it's just really hard for me to sit here and talk without you answering me. So everything is going so much better. I hope that you enjoyed the story. In the next one, I will get into the end of Lexington and helping Kevin and ending up in lockup and getting shipped. That's going to all happen in the next video. But I wanted to tell you about some of those things that happened while I was there, and maybe just give you a better idea of what it's like to be in prison. And one thing that if I could do anything for you, I wish that I could convey to you what it's like to really be in a cell when that door is slammed shut and you know you can't get out. They take you, go in the cell, you get your cuffs off, they close the bean hole, they shut the door window, and you can't see anything. You can look out of a cell window, but when you do, it's got bars and a netting over it, wire mesh. That's looking outside. If someone else is in that cell with you, you get to talk to them. One time I was in DU and I was waiting to get out of DU, and I was going to make some knives. I got a hold of a pair of toenail clippers and I broke them apart, and on the edge of the desk, I was just sitting there just making meat, scratching it over and over, trying to break it off. And I had got one piece off and I was working on a piece of the light, and they bring me a cell partner in there. I had been by myself, and this guy has come straight out of A&R and went on the yard. And then they put him in the cell with me. This is another yard, but I just want to tell you this story. So they put him in the cell with me. This guy's almost in tears. He's never been locked up. He didn't even go to jail. He went to jail, but then they bonded him out. And so he didn't have to serve any jail time. He went straight from the streets when it came time, put him up, locked him up, put him in the county jail, and then he shipped out pretty quick. So he didn't even really do any jail time. He done 30 days in A&R. He just got to prison. He was on the yard a couple days, got into an argument with a case manager, didn't realize what he was doing, and they put him in jail, put him in my cell. And he is in tears, man. This guy, I don't know what to do about this. I can't believe this. This is like stuff you see on TV. He's crying. He's like, they put me in here. I can't get out. I can't get out. I can't go anywhere. Can I use the phone? He keeps asking the guards to let him use the phone. They're not going to let him use the phone. So I'm sitting there trying to make this, and I try to sharpen this, and he keeps calling the guards. I'm like, dude, get away from the door. They're not going to let you use the phone. I'm trying to do something. He's watching me. He's like, dude, can I just talk to you for a minute? Can I just talk to you for a minute? He's like, man, I've never been locked up. Give me, I can't call my wife. Now I can't call my wife. And they just put me in a cell with you. And this is like something off TV. You're in here making knives. And like, dude, no offense to you, but like, man, I don't know what to think about all this. Can I just tell you what my problems are? And I said, hell no, you can't just tell me all your problems. One thing you never do in prison is talk about how much time you have. Never talk about how much time you have. Because here this guy is doing a little old 10-year sentence, 5 in, 5 out, crying. He's been in jail all in all about 3 months, maybe. And he's sitting here with me, and I've been in here for years, 14, 15 years at this time. And he's crying because of the 3 months he's been locked up. Crying because he's got to be in DU for a week or two. And I've been down here in DU 3 months. And he's crying about that to me and wants to tell me his problems. So no, I didn't want to hear his problems. I know that sounds mean, but that's why you don't talk about how much time you have in prison, ever. Okay, but if you could do one thing, man, I'd like for you to try to imagine what it would be like to really be locked in a cell and not be able to get out of it. When you look at the calendar and you know, well, look, there's 21 days from now and I'll still be sitting here doing nothing. Because when you're in prison, you don't live, you just exist. And that's all there is to it. And with that, I'm going to let this video go. John, I really enjoyed our phone call. Everyone who has hit that subscribe channel, thank you so much, man. You guys are basically, you guys are making the last part of my dream come true. I have everything that my mom said God promised her I would have. The only thing I don't have is being able to support myself. But I have a sneaky feeling that that's coming. And it's all because you guys have taken the time to stop and listen to what I had to say. And it wasn't long ago that no one cared to talk to me at all. No one cared what I had to say. So I can't tell you how good you guys make me feel. How much you give me hope for just the human race and people. Because there are good people out here still. And you've shown me that. And I want to thank you for it. And may God bless, keep and protect you and yours. And I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.